Alright, so I'm going to continue with number 9 since I got cut off there. Our next step here is to reflect over the x-axis. Alright, now I'm writing with my finger now. Have to use a different computer, so you're just going to have to bear with me if the writing gets a little sloppy. Alright, but if I reflect over my x-axis, okay, this becomes -3, -1/2. All we're doing when we reflect over the x-axis, remember, is changing our y's. We're flipping the signs of our y's. We're taking the opposite of every single y value. Okay, that's a 1/2, and then 2, 0. All right, our next step, our next and final step is to take care of this -2. -2 means I'm going to move it down 2, which is going to affect my y values. So for every y value, I'll subtract 2. All right, so last step, down 2. Okay, so I'll take -1/2, subtract 2, I'll get -3, -2.5. I'll take, what do we got, negative or positive 1/4 and subtract 2, I'll get, excuse me, -2, -1.75. Next one I got 0, -1.5. My last point I got 2, -2. Okay, those are my 4 final points, and I'll graph them. -3, -2.5 is going to be about right there. -2, -1.75, about right there. 0, -1.5, about there. And 2, -2 is right there. And then connect your dots. All right. That's so rough. I'm using my fingers. Just bear with me on that one. Okay. Number 10 is next. We're going to do number 10. Is this relation a function? So the question we have to ask ourselves: does this pass the vertical line test? It sure does. Remember, this is a close to open, so that passes the vertical line test. So this is a yes. All right. Domain. Remember, domain is read left to right. I read this from left to right. Okay. There's some confusion about this arrow here going off towards infinity. It continues to increase. Remember, as I look at my domain from left to right, okay, think about my x values as they get negative, as they continue to get negative. All right, what's my function doing? It's continuing to get, it's growing, right? But it's, excuse me, for every negative x value, I'm going to have a positive y value. It's going off into infinity, while y is going to positive infinity, x is going to negative infinity. All right, so my first thing will be negative infinity, comma. Well, as I approach from negative infinity, I hit 0, and it's a closed dot, so I include it. Union, pick it back up at 1. Okay, so now there's this jump here, but I don't need to include the jump in my domain. All I have to do is write 1 to infinity, like that. You don't have to write 1 to 2, and then union 2 to infinity. You do not have to include that. All right, it should just write it as 1 to infinity. This came up on the test. All right, some people made that mistake, at least in my classes, okay, or my class. All right, so that should help with that. That should be an infinity. Okay. Oh, buckets, whatever. All right, so now find the range. Remember, domain is left to right, range is bottom to top. Bottom to top. So I start at the bottom of my graph. All right, my lowest possible y value is 0. The function goes off to infinity in both directions, so 0 to infinity. Never include infinity. Close bracket on 0. All right, we're going to go backwards now. We're going backwards, and we're going to go to number 3. All right, we're talking about scatter plots. Okay, remember how to do this. All right, I want to enter my info, my data, into my stat. So I hit stat, edit, and then I enter that into L1. I already have this pre-inputted, okay, already. Remember to clear it, I go up to L1, press clear, and then press enter. Okay, so I have all that entered into here. So create a scatter plot for the data. So to create a scatter plot, I press second y equals plot 1. I want it to be on I want this to be selected. L1 and L2 should be our X and Y list. Press zoom. Stat, which I think is 9. Yeah, zoom stat, which is 9. And there's my data. All right, it looks to be increasing. So create a scatter plot and look at the scatter plot. Check. All right. Next, describe how the variables are related using the above situation. So think about this, okay? Think about this in terms of the problem, okay? As my x's increase, my y's increase as well. Well, in terms of the problem, as the days study increase, which is my x, my independent variable, my y, which is my L2, my dependent variable, the score earned increases. So as you increase the days studying, the score earned increased as well. Use your calculator to create a linear regression for the data. What is your equation? Okay, so to create a linear regression line, I go to stat, calc, number 4. All right. Now, some of us are going to have different menus. Some of us are able to press, you can try pressing enter right away. If I press enter right away, this will give me an equation. All right. Now, the equation is the correct one that I want. All right. However, it's not going to input it. So I'm going to go stat, number 4. Okay. Second L1, comma, second 2, enter. Boom, it's the same thing. All right, so there's my linear regression equation. Y equals 2.4561x plus 3.2982. All right, I use a bunch of decimals just because I like more exact answers. Interpret the slope within the context of the data. Okay. Remember, think about it. Your slope. Remember, as your slope is your change in y over your change in x. Okay. So it's my change in y over my change in x. My scores. So think about the slope is 2.46. Scores, which is my y, increase. We'll just go increase. Okay. 2.456, is that points or about 2.456 points or something per, is it points? Yeah, points per day studied. Studied. Okay. Next thing, interpret the y-intercept constant term of the linear model in the context of the data. Well, y-intercept, remember, x is 0, so that would mean my x is 0, which would mean I have not studied at all. Okay. So if I don't study, then I earn a score of somewhere between 3 and 3.5. All right. I know if I don't study, then I earn a score of between 3 and 3.5. Okay. Score increased 2.456 points per day study. Hopefully that helps for numbers 9, 10, and 3. If you have any questions, come see one of us. Happy studying.